Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to another episode of the Seven Podcast. I'm your host, Joseph, and today I have with me two of my brothers that also happen to be dope podcasters with their own podcast shows. But I'm gonna let them introduce themselves and then we'll get into it.
Hi, how we doing? How we doing? My name is Kemar, and I am coming from the podcast called It's Relational, a relationship-based podcast with me and my wife, where we talk about our personal relationship, and we also interview other couples and hear their perspective on relationships and what makes it tick. Also, we interview singles and hear how their single life is going. So that's a little bit about us.
Hey guys, how you doing? My name is Tony Fizzle, and I am the owner of the Generational Dad podcast. And the podcast is me getting with a bunch of fathers, and we just speak about our experiences on a day to day. And then I'm also 1/3 owner of the podcast, Keeping It All the Way, where we talk about the culture, we talk about situational health, and we talk about day to day life to learn some stuff. So my name is Tony Fizzle, and thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely. Thank you for
Appreciate
having
y'all.
us on.
Appreciate y'all for being here. Time is money. And hope I'm not wasting y'all money. But anyways,
Oh, you're
what
good,
made
bro.
y'all take on the podcasting path?
Come on, you
I'll,
go
I'll
first. I got a
start.
lot.
I mean, I got a lot too, but it's all good. So, I guess
Go
the
ahead.
way we'll go with the rotation, I'll go first, and then you can go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Bet.
So what made me really take the podcasting path was, one night I was doing overnight work and I was listening to a bunch of different things just to keep myself up. I ended up listening to a friend of mine's, shout out to their podcast, The Money Princess, and I was listening to them just go over their investing podcast, and I was like, wow, this is really good. Like, I feel like I can do this. So in that situation, it was truly, I saw somebody else who I said, if they can do it, I can do it. However, the challenge always comes down to what do you want to talk about during your podcast or with your podcast. So for me, I was like, oh, I can do investing, but I don't know how long I could, have that go on. I can talk about, so many different things. And then I deduced it down to, you know what? I can do a relationship podcast with my wife. That's so easy. We can draw it out. I don't want to say drag because that might have like a negative connotation, but we can pull it and have it go, for a very long time. For those who don't know, I am 29 years young as of this recording. I am married. I'm going to be 8 years married this year, and we are high school sweethearts and college sweethearts, military sweethearts, everything. So, it's been a crazy journey for us. So I like to, just divulge and give a lot of people our perspective because getting married at 21 is not the common thing that you hear in this day and age, that day and age. So we just want to be that inspiration with our story.
God bless you guys. I just want to say God bless you guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
So what do you guys like? What on year 8 right now?
Yes, this August will be year 8.
Damn.
Congratulations! I just hit year 7 just like last week or 2 weeks ago.
Hey,
I'm
congratulations.
trying to reach 8 days texting. No, I'm playing. I'm,
Don't rush it.
I'm, I'm currently talking to somebody now, so we working on there. We in there, so we just reached 1 month.
Hey,
Hey man, every process is its own process. So
talk
however
about
long
it.
it takes you, bro.
Talk about
So,
Because me and Kamar's situation is probably way different. So circumstances and all that stuff dictates that. So
definitely.
so I'm just gonna answer the question. So my first podcast, the Generational Dad podcast, the reason why I started is because me and my wife were both doing mill stationed overseas in Japan, and she was up for deployment. So when she was deploying, we have a 4-year-old daughter, so I had to take care of, doing everything. I had to be the solo parent at the time because she was the everything. She did everything, and I kind of just was like following the beat. So now when it was my turn to do everything, I had to learn a lot of things on the fly. And then with learning a lot of things on the fly, you start realizing that there's a lot of things that dads don't realize, and there's a lot of things that dads and fathers struggle with while raising a child, especially by themselves at the time being. And I'll give some small synopsis about it, like taking your daughter to a bathroom that's only male and female. A lot of people don't think about stuff like that, but that was a big thing for me because, like, hey, I got to take my daughter into a men's bathroom. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of just the way the world is. You got to think of it like that. So just
Mm-hmm.
learning stuff like that, trying to find family bathrooms and stuff like that. So that's the reason why the podcast came about, because I wanted to see what other fathers experience, see any other tips that we can share with each other and stuff like that. Just minute stuff that no one really pays attention to. But that's the reason why the podcast came about, was to share information, have others understand about it. I speak to a bunch of fathers in all different spectrums, from fathers with twins to fathers that have, raising a beautiful autistic children. It ranges from all over, interracial couples and their children. It just doesn't change, like same-sex parents with their couples. So I try to get a range of fathers, because everybody's experience is different, and not everybody's, I'm not saying anybody's a perfect father, but you could take bits and pieces and add it to your repertoire as a father. And then the second podcast that I started with two other my friends is Keeping It All the Way podcast. So during COVID, everybody knows there's a lot of things that, we had to stop hanging out, stop being, interpersonal, stop seeing people day to day. So after a while, you get isolated and secluded. So with getting isolated and secluded, mental health does become a forefront thing, because you have to sit with yourself and learn yourself. So that's another reason why we started the podcast, to bring awareness to it, bring peace. We One of my podcast mates, she is into, energy, astrology, all that stuff, and we make sure she gives a prayer every single episode. So it's kind of like a peaceful episode. So it's a peaceful podcast in a sense. And, we talk
Mm-hmm.
about the culture. We talk about what, relationship stuff, kind of stuff what Kemar is talking about, but just more so on just three different people's perspectives, and we tabletop everything. So that's the two podcasts that we started. And that's the reason why, just to give back.
Hey, that's what's up.
Uh,
I'm proud of y'all. Like, I know there's a lot of podcasts out there, and some, there's no shade to anybody's podcast, but some are just negative, and then, but you guys have like that positive energy, so that's pretty dope. So,
Appreciate it. And
mhm.
sorry, Joe, I just wanted to go back to Tony. I can just appreciate, the generational dad podcast. I mean, the second one as well, but I never truly thought about a dad situation where you have your daughter, and now where am I supposed to take her to the bathroom? I'm taking my girl child to the men's bathroom. Like, wow, I've never thought of it to that specific, because we're not parents yet. But I was like, when you said that, I was like, yeah, that's a real situation. So like a family bathroom is very imperative at that moment. Sorry, I just had to touch on
Not
that.
for sure. No, for sure, for sure. I remember. I know you brought up people starting their podcast and just finding what to talk about, because like that was my problem too. But finding what to talk about, and I'm like I said, I'm an introvert, so I'm like, what can I talk about, and what can I talk about for a decent amount of time? Because I know an average podcast is probably like 20 minutes. I'm like, I don't even think I could talk for that long. And now I'm in like what 13 episodes in, and like all my episodes are over 30 minutes. So I'm like, damn, that's crazy. But
Yeah,
I just goes to show that anybody could do it, and like it's it just flows if you put your mind to it.
That
right.
is facts.
Yeah, 100%.
So when did you guys start your podcast?
Um, hmm, great question. Believe it or not, we started our podcast in October of 2021. I truly wish we started much earlier, but I don't regret that at least we started. But I preferred if we had to start earlier, but definitely started in October 2021,
Last year?
last year.
Wow, I feel like your podcast been out a lot longer.
The crazy thing is both of mine started last year as well, because like last year during the summer, because my wife had to deploy. That's when things kind of get
Uh-huh.
surreal. I wish we started early. I wish I started earlier too as well, because I probably would have gotten through a lot of the kinks of parenthood
Yes.
earlier, to understand like, okay, and I didn't think about that. I didn't think about that. Like I said, a lot of things I've learned through these podcasts is just, and especially I have one child, so I learned a lot of things about having two kids. So when you have two kids, it's just the attention you give both and stuff like that. So I'm telling you, it's been an eye opener, and I wish I've started sooner. But last year was when both of mine started as well.
Right.
Hey man, the most important thing is you did it. You started, and now look at you now. It's like you're learning, you're growing. That's the most important part. What what did y'all do before the podcast, or like, what do you do aside from the podcast?
Good question. So I just have to throw it out there because I know for all the listeners, I know y'all know that Joe is a veteran. You
Yeah,
ETS already, right?
yeah, I'm a veteran now.
All right, good,
Technically now, yeah.
Yeah.
I just want y'all to know that this is 100% a military episode because I am prior service as well. Only difference is I was Army, specifically, if you want to say MOS or the job, I was infantry 11 Bravo. Hua hua, just had to throw that out there. For those who may resonate, we all know the Army is the best branch, and I will no
Yeah, okay.
shade.
Nah, I don't want to hear that.
I'm not going to
I
entertain that
don't
respectfully.
know. But
Uh, so I just had to throw that out there. But prior to being in podcasting, I am and was I currently am in medical billing. I was doing that prior to being in podcasting. So currently I'm still in medical billing, which is bananas, dealing with medical insurance and all type of different doctors from plastic surgeons, neurosurgeons, hand specialists, orthopedics. It's wild. So the world of health insurance, at least in America, bananas. But that's a whole nother topic and episode.
Mhm.
Yeah, so for me, like what I was doing before, it's still the same thing I'm currently doing is active duty military. I did not get out, still in. And I'm stationed over in Japan. So before that was kind of just doing the parenting thing, enjoying life, traveling, hanging out, doing stuff to enjoy life and make memories. That's what I was doing before, making memories, and still will be making memories.
For sure. And all the listeners out there, just know this episode was not hard to, I mean, it was not easy to um put
Coordinate.
together. Yeah, to coordinate. Yeah, you got you in Japan, and then we got Kemar in New York. So it's a blessing to be able to do this. So
A lot of logistics.
Oh,
yes,
punch.
very. What time is it in Japan right now?
Right now, currently speaking, is 11:29 in the morning.
Yeah, right now it's 9:30 o'clock. I said 9:30 o'clock. It's 9:30 p.m.
Yeah. So I'm technically in the
Got
future. If you want to be real technical, I'm ahead of you
Hey,
guys. It is Saturday here.
technically,
Back to
yeah,
the
you
Future.
for sure.
That's what's
And
up.
like, so when you guys started your podcast, did it like take a lot of money? Because I know like new people starting their podcast, they're like, damn, I wonder how much money it cost me to start, like regarding with the equipment and all the logistics. So
Right. Too easy. So it doesn't take a lot of money to start a podcast. I don't know where the misconception came down. Maybe it's just the fear of unknown, but truly it just comes down to greatest suggestion I would say to start out a podcast is prior to doing that, maybe converse with a podcaster and kind of pick their brain before you just jump into it. Me, I jumped head first into it and I figured everything out. I didn't ask anybody. Had I known what I know now, I would have asked somebody for some direction. Along the way, I did ask for some direction, but truly, it comes down to equipment. You don't have to go big and bold or big and bad. I know some people think, say otherwise, where they say, you invest the big money now into the equipment so you don't got to do it long term. But if you don't have, let's say, $300 to drop on a super crisp mic, you know, are you gonna stop because of that? Has it that reason? No. You can cop a $20 mic off of Amazon, which I did, which is phenomenal to this day. And I still use it and I still love it. And it was too easy. So truly, does it take a lot of money to get started? No. The biggest thing too would be to look at which hosting platform you want to use. There's a lot out there. A lot of them charge per, maybe downloads, or they charge per the storage, and some of them don't charge at all. So just take that into consideration on what you want to do when you start. But what you really need to start is not money, it's faith and motivation. That's what you truly need to get started.
facts.
So to answer that question, I would say it's a twofold, right? I would say yes and no, right? Yes, because at some point when you scale up, that's when it gets expensive. But when you first start, not really. I think for me, I'm always one of those people that I'm like halfway in, halfway out. Like I gotta see, I'm not trying to spend as much money as possible, but still get the
Word.
results that I want. So in the first, I'll probably say a couple of months to that before I started the podcast, I was doing so much research. I think like enough where I was watching every single YouTube. I was like stopping playing, writing down everything. And when I learned that you can literally scale it down so little to what's in your hand, which is your day-to-day cell phone. So what I did was, like Kemar said, I went online, went on Amazon, bought a $35 USB mic that I could just plug it into my phone. Did that, plug it in my phone, had a little iPod headphones, the old school ones, with the long wire with the mic, plugged it right behind the microphone. And that's what I started with. That was like my first episode. I started with that. I started with a headphone jack, a USB microphone, which was $35, and my phone. And then I use Anchor. So Anchor is the app that you can upload, publish, and distribute your podcast episodes. And you can also do some other stuff there, and it'll also publish it to Apple, on Spotify, and the rest of the rest of the platforms. And literally that cost me $0. I didn't have to do nothing there.
$3.99.
Free 99. Record it. You could chop it right on Anchor, because there's a lot of other apps that you could do it on as well, and chop it right on Anchor and do it right there and submit it. As I started getting better with it, and as I started, valuing other things like quality, I value quality of my voice more at that time. So I went to go buy a more expensive mic, and it's a Shure mic. It's a $300 mic, but that's because I started scaling up. When you first start, you don't have to spend anything, but like I said, probably $35 to $40, right? If you want to do a video, you have your phone. Your phone has the capability, it has a 4K capability that you can record yourself. Nothing. That's free 99 in your hand because you're already using it and owning it, whatever you're paying for it. And just a mic, literally, and just a nice setting. You could stay behind a closet if you want to. It's up to you. But as long as you put out content, that's what that should be expensive. Your content, own your content, think of your content, and just put it out there. So does it cost a lot of money? Yes and no. But to start, no. But when you scale up, it will start costing when you want different things like quality of sound, quality, just many different things, graphics, stuff like that.
For sure. I know I spent a little money on my logo. I spent a little money on the hosting platform, the mic, the stand that holds the mic. What else? Well, GarageBand is free. I think that's about the most money I spent. But I'll probably scale up to a better mic later. But I mean, I'm satisfied with the one I got now. And do you guys consider your podcast like a business, like a small business? Do you guys are you guys writing off your purchases or?
Good question. I treat it as a small business. However, I don't write off anything as of yet. I kind of want to scale up a little bit more before I consider that. But 100%, I do treat it as a small business. So it is on my mind 24/7. A lot of times at the 9 to 5, I'm there doing podcast work while doing the 9 to 5 work. I do want to continue to scale it up. So it's, because it is, I think like all of our podcasts it is monetized, not to the level I want it to be, but I want it to be higher. But um me personally, I plan on actually maybe towards the mid, or well, we're already mid, towards the end of this year, I plan to LLC my podcast.
Okay.
So to honestly answer that, I do not treat my podcast as a business. I actually treat it as a hobby because for me, I want to still gain the enjoyment of doing it. Because the moment it becomes a business, and this is my opinion, no, everybody has their own thing, but once it becomes a business, it becomes a little bit more work, if it makes sense. Like you're putting work into everything. You're trying to edit everything. You're trying to chase the monetary value that is supposed to be coming on the other side, or what you want it to become as a result wise. So I still keep it as a hobby. Even if it scales up even more, I'll still keep it as a hobby and enjoying it. If it gets to a point where, hey, now I need to kind of fully shift focus on this 100% and make it a business, then when we cross that bridge, we'll cross it. But as of right now, I still treat it as a hobby. I still enjoy it. I still drop content. I'm not dropping content every week as the rule of thumb for content creators when you want to monetize your business, but I drop it every other week, every 2 weeks, just to give myself time so I can enjoy life and also have time to give my podcast life in itself. So
I love it, man.
Definitely. I feel you. I feel you because I use that same perspective with photography. People be like, why don't you do photography full time? In my head, I mean, I do photography like part time here and there. I just feel like if I do it full time, it just puts the burden on like you say, you chasing the money, and it just kind of takes the fun out of it. So I enjoy doing it here and there, and that's how I'm gonna stick to it. Same thing with the podcast. I feel like this is for fun, and also, I mean, if it gets to a point where I start having people like putting like I'm able to put ads on my podcast, then maybe I'll scale up and make it into a business. But for right now, it's just for fun, for sure. Um,
Heard. Yeah, it's different perspectives, and I could truly appreciate, Jordan. Just like I know your listeners can appreciate it, because I feel otherwise from you guys, but we all still at the end of the day still enjoy doing the same thing, our podcast. But I do get the business, perspective where now you're hustling for the business, and it may take the fun out of it. I do get that.
mhm. I mean, at some point, I mean, if it's something you love and you like hustling for it, I mean, it probably won't feel like work. But I mean, I don't know. I think there's a thin line between that like I don't know, like we take it takes the fun out of it when you start doing it like for like a certain cause. So you guys still get nervous before you start recording? Because I do. Because before we started, y'all know how I was taking deep breaths and like I still was nervous. But what do y'all? How y'all do?
To be honest, each record, every man, each recording, I always get nervous, especially leading up to it. So when you book it, I'm always just like, all right, we're cool, we booked. But when it's like game time, I'm like the biggest sigh ever. I think if you down the block, you could probably hear me sigh. I'm like, whew, like it's kind of like I guess getting like my game face on, or my game voice, if you will. So a lot of times, I get in and I'm like, all right, intro, and then sometimes I don't feel it. I'm like, no, 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 no. Pause, redo. And so yeah, absolutely, I do still get nervous, and I actually like that. That means it's something for me where I appreciate where it still gives me butterflies. Like, man, you really doing this. So yes, I still get nervous. I even, fun fact for those who don't know, I got nervous even to start this recording here with these two gentlemen, but I'm just hiding it. I'm just hiding it,
Hey man, me too.
I, I guess I'm the misnomer in this one. I don't think I get nervous anymore because I have two. So just having two podcasts, I'm like double the work. So after a while, it becomes like second nature. It's like, oh, boom, 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 boom. So maybe at the beginning, yes, at the beginning, like the first 3, 4, 5 episodes. But then after that, like just like how we did in this one, we had a pre-conversation ahead. That kind of just like that's like the shaking off icebreaker moment for us.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, it's kind of like go time. Like I just like Kemar said, you switch into a zone, and once I'm in that zone, I'm in, and it just
For
becomes
sure.
like it just becomes natural. It's because we're talking. Because at the end of the day, that's what it is. You're just talking, and people are gonna listen either or they like it or not. People's gonna judge whether you do good or bad. So just I enjoy the conversation, the content we have with each other. And if everybody else enjoys as well, then that's a great thing. If they don't, then it is what it is.
Facts. I mean, shit. I'm on. This is what my 15th episode. I'll still be getting nervous. I don't know about. I guess it's just me because I'm not a talker. Like this is not me. I'll just
Nah,
do this
you good, man.
podcast. I just do the podcast so to show that like other introverts can do it, and that's it.
Yeah, you good, man. You good, man. Like I'm on my 37th episode, and I still get
Damn.
nervous. Like I'm like, wait.
Shit. So like, with your podcast, what impact would you guys like to leave? Like for like what impact would you like to leave for your own podcast?
Right, great question. So I think, same thing, just going off of Tony, the generational dad podcast. For me speaking, it would be like generational. So ideally, I want to show that, romantic relationships are good. They're also, vital in my and in me and my wife opinion. So we just want to show, though, many people that, you know you can be in a relationship eventually when your time comes. Don't rush it. That's the biggest thing I would say. Always work on you first. But our biggest ideology is putting a relationship in a more of a positive light. A lot of people always hear relationships and always think of the negative, or what this person is doing or what that person is doing, or what's highlighted is the negative part of relationships, right? I'm trying to think of somebody or something, but I know we probably have all seen it on Instagram where it's like, oh, tell us the craziest thing you've done in a relationship. Why is that something we're even glorifying? So for me, that's just my motive, right? To show you guys that, yes, we're not perfect, because you will hear it on our podcast all the time, but we can still come together to be a union and show that, yes, marriage is cool and marriage rocks. But of course, everybody feels otherwise, but that's just our motivation.
I mean, that's dope, and I'm glad you highlighted that you want others to kind of see the good side and to emphasize the good side, because of course drama is always something we all want and we all feast on, whether you like it or not. Spicy, messy stuff kind of just intriguing. It's like reality TV. So I'm glad that you guys kind of want to leave that impact, and that's pretty dope.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah.
And speaking for me, I think for the Generational Dad podcast, what I want, like the impact that I want to have is I want to make sure that fathers feel like they have a space, like a safe space where they could share their stories, share their experiences, share their gripes, and also share things that they feel like they need to their partner to understand. Because sometimes we can say it so much, and when you're in the moment, sometimes hearing it from another situation, another angle, from another person, it kind of hits different, it kind of resonates different, because now it's like, okay, this is experience talking to me, vice someone that's, you're sometimes when you're within a relationship, it's hard, you're clouded by a lot of egos and stuff and beliefs with each other, that sometimes you can't hear the message. So when you hear from someone else that has the same situation or has the same similarities, it hits different. So I want to be able to have that impact where fathers feel like they have that space to speak and speak more about it, because a lot of fathers out there are doing a lot of great things, but they're overshadowed by a lot of the baby daddy dramas and stuff like that. So that's one impact that I want to have with the Generational Dad podcast. And for the Keeping It All the Way podcast, I want to make sure that it's tailored to New Yorkers, but it's kind of open a broad, wide variety of people to know that, there's people that are suffering in the same mid-age group. I'm 33 right now. So there's a lot of us that's still suffering and still trying to get through it and still trying to find our way and still trying to learn ourselves and embrace who we are. Because just because you've been living in your 30s and your 40s doesn't mean you know who you are. You're still trying to go through
Talk
that
about it.
motion and learning. So that's the reason why we started that podcast. We just want to show like these are things that are happening. These are things that are real, and you're not alone. Honestly, it's really showing you're not alone in this situation. So the impact is to feel a togetherness.
Dope, dope. I love that you guys
I
are
love it.
bringing out the positive aspects of like subjects that are normally like shown just the negative side. That's kind of like my reason I have my podcast too, because like with entrepreneurship, social media makes like it sugarcoats a lot of things, so it makes like a lot of fields look easy and glamorous, and like real estate, people selling big houses, doing it successful, get a lot of money, and they don't show the tough side of the entrepreneurship. So that's why I'm here to get, get that insight from all the people from entrepreneurship, from you guys, from any field. So appreciate you guys.
Yep, yep. And I can respect, your angle as well, Joe. Because again, you bring on, and you're not in the same field of work, or you're not in the same category. You bring in a different type of guests, and I love it, man. Just to shows the diversification. There's just the diversity of the different guests that you. I love it, man. Like, and just hearing their perspective, because all in all, you always say, hey, if you ever thought of getting into, let's say, for instance, most recent one, comedy, right? Here is a comedian who I have on the show. Learn and listen. I love it. Come on, we all would want that, just that step ahead.
For sure. That's why I brought you guys on to show us, because you guys been doing it longer than me. So I wanna learn something new. So and hopefully the listeners learn something new.
It's crazy to hear you say that because I don't even think I've been doing it for that long.
Yeah, right.
It just feels like I really don't feel like I've been doing it for that long. Like literally, that's why it just sounds crazy when you say
Technically,
it.
yeah, technically you've been doing it longer than me. So
Technically with time, but it just feel
yeah,
like
The feeling,
it,
yeah.
the feeling is not,
yeah,
it's different.
facts. I mean, speaking of how long you've been doing it, do you see yourself doing it? Like, how long do you see yourself doing the podcasting? Like, do you feel like you'll run out of content to put out, or?
You know what? I think generally, starting with the first half, how long do I see? As long as virtually and physically possible. God willing, obviously I can continue. But I honestly got it down to an enjoyment where like I think I can do it for the long term, right? This came out of a whim, so I'm not going to give everybody no long story along how we got started, like I said previously, but I can see myself doing it even longer and even possibly diversifying a little bit more in terms of getting on another podcast and going in a different direction. So one is relationship, and another one is, let's say, lifestyle or something of the sort. So I enjoy it wholeheartedly because everybody has a voice. It just depends on who the person is if they want to speak up and get their message conveyed. So absolutely, I can see myself long term, years down the line, continue to do this. I may actually, and this is kind of news that I didn't really share, but I had gotten an offer to do a radio show, like have me and my wife have our own radio show, and
Mm,
I didn't turn it down per se. I put it on
That's what's up.
pause because I'm like, if I do a radio show, I'm gonna have a radio show and then a podcast and then a 9 to 5. I'm like, it's a lot to juggle. And eventually we're looking to have kids. So that's something we're talking about heavy this year. I'm like, let's put it on pause. Let's put it on pause. But that just shows me like the entertainment or the radio industry or just this industry I just want to continue with. To the second half of the question. um yes and no, and I say yes because depending on how you do your rotation, right? Some people do weekly, some people do bi-weekly, some people do monthly. I think monthly is a little long, but to each his
mhm,
own. I
mhm,
do weekly, and a lot of times I'm like, oh snap, like what's next on the schedule? Like, are we ready? Like, I have the content and I already feel like I don't have it ready and available. um
mhm.
I have one I'll leave it for later, but you know it's crazy, but I truly feel like I would run out of episodes. But then no, because what I've started to do, which when I started earlier, here's a nice healthy plug for a lot of people. We recorded a lot of episodes before releasing it. So we have content that's sitting in the external hard drive. Fun fact, external hard drive, and just unreleased. So we're getting back into that. So now we have a plethora of episodes that we can release at will, one by one, once a week, and we don't have to worry about necessarily, oh, we got to record Tuesday to release Friday. No, that's not our situation. Yeah.
Shit.
No, so I mean that's good. I mean, like you always have to have them in the clip. I think that's one. If that's a podcast, a tip that we all can give you is always have a bunch of episodes in a clip because there'll be that week where you're busy, but you gotta put some out. Not got to, but you feel like you need to put some out. Always have them in the clip ready and chopped up and screwed and ready to go. But to answer the question, how long do I see myself being a podcaster? I think same thing Kamar said, as long as God willing, lets me keep going and as long as it's still enjoyable. And what I'm saying, if when it stops becoming fun, maybe that's the time to stop. But until it stops being fun, because I enjoy this stuff, it's just, and I can always learn. You cannot not learn from this situation. You learn something every day from another person's experience. So every day that I can learn, I take that with grace, and I think that's how long I'm gonna do it until it's not fun no more, or I'm not learning nothing no more. And then will I run out of episodes? It's kind of hard to, for the Generational Dad podcast, it's really kind of hard to run out of episodes because there's millions of dads out there, millions and millions and millions. So everybody has a story. So that's kind of hard. And then for the Keeping It All the Way podcast, there's always something to talk about the culture. So it's, always something about situation and mental health awareness that we can talk about. So I can't see neither one of those running out of episodes. It's maybe up to the person or the people when it's ready for them to quit or call it quits.
Facts. I mean, when I first started, that was my first thought. Like, I was like, damn, there's probably only a certain amount of episodes I could put out. And but I thought about it, like, I mean, there's so many fields of entrepreneurship, but and I thought about it, and I could do, I would say, do them over again, but I could bring the same entrepreneur feel back on like a later episode just to get a different perspective, ask different questions, and like I feel like it's ongoing. It could definitely last long, and I forgot what I was gonna say. My mind just went blank. But you have any tips for any like beginning or advanced podcasters?
Man, I think we dropped one of the biggest tips, right? Have many episodes in the clip, right? Which simply boils down to, record, record, record. Even if you have to set aside, let's say, a Sunday and just record endless and endless content. Yes, it's gonna feel annoying and tiring and dragging, but you want to have, content that is backed up for days, for weeks, well, weeks in the rotation, because you never know what can happen where you might have an inability to record. So here's a situation that happened to us real time. Around December of 2021, me and my wife, I guess with the whole world, had caught COVID around that time during the holidays. Now we were out of commission about 2 weeks. Not that we couldn't speak, but anybody who's caught COVID knows the feeling that it kind of puts over you. So we couldn't record nothing for those 2 weeks. However, we had backed up, you know, um, talks or episodes that we just released. It was a little stretch, but we released and we were still good. So we didn't miss a beat. We wasn't off for a week. Hey guys, we're taking a break. Um, you know, impromptu. Now, that's just one of the biggest suggestions I have, right? Having so many episodes, loaded up and ready to go and, chopped and screwed, edited, so you just have it down to perfection. Another tip I would say is, there's so many things I could say, but I want to just leave it because I know Tone probably got some good stuff too. But one other advanced tip I would give, or for beginner and advanced, always look to link up, or always look to do some sort of collab with another podcaster, with how big or small, whatever they may be, because one, you'll always learn from them. Two, cross pollination, which is amazing. Their audience sees you, your audience see them, so it's just a nice mixing bowl of a lot of action there. And then three, you have you have podcast long connections, right? I have a lot more people that I'm connected to now because I did a collab with, or I'm planning to do a collab with. And that's now just even further motivation to keep going, because, oh, look, they dropped a new episode. Oh, we got to drop one. Oh, they got 500 subscribers. We got to do that next. Like, it's always positive motivation. I know me and Joe, we always, we talking about the subscriptions on YouTube because that's a whole nother animal. But that's what I would just say. Always link up with another podcaster, because you'll always learn from them, no matter if they're beginning, new, or advanced. So I'll turn it over to you, T.
Hey, wait. Before I forget what I was gonna say, I remember what I was gonna say now. Before you start, you talked about having episodes in a clip, but I'm gonna say I'm still learning, but also, like I said, I'm an introvert, and I do this episode and I don't want to talk to nobody for a couple days, so I'm fine with doing an episode maybe like a day or two before Friday and then releasing it on Friday. I mean, it's not hard to. I'm gonna say it's not hard to find somebody to do an episode with, but sometimes I've actually ran into that problem where, like, damn, who am I gonna do this week? So actually, the week the episode I dropped last week where I did it myself, that's when I didn't have nobody to do. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna just do it myself. I did an episode on myself for photography, so like it worked out that way. But then now definitely down the line, I definitely got to reach out to people more further in advance than
Right.
when I want to release. So
Well, that's a good plug, man. I didn't know that was the reason why you did a solo episode. I thought you just did it just to just say, hey, look, you want to talk to her for, like, hello, look at me, I'm right here. So wow.
yeah, I didn't even want
Yeah,
to do the
I didn't know
episode
that.
because I don't
I
like
think you should
talking.
just have a list of people though. I think you should like heads up,
Right.
like hit them up, heads up, but like, hey, I want to do an episode, but like I'll just keep you in mind just to keep you a heads up so they know, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So they're not sometimes, yeah, I don't want to talk to nobody either. So it's just like right now, both my podcasts, we're taking like a small break because I just had to go on vacation and stuff like that. And so it was just a lot to try to coordinate all that. But like we just took a break, so now we should be starting up in the next couple of weeks or so. But it's okay to to take a break and do your things. Like I said, it should be fun. This thing should be fun, and that's what it's for.
Yeah.
But
But yes.
I guess oh no, go ahead.
No. I was gonna say. You go ahead. Answer the question.
So to answer your what tips do I have? I think the first thing I would say is before even starting, kind of have everything scripted out, not scripted out word by word of what you're gonna say, but kind of have a outline of intro, who's speaking, how it works, have some structure so it can flow better, so you're not rambling about the same thing over and over, and then it kind of just clouds your podcast, because if you're saying the same thing at the beginning, in the middle, and the end, and there's no relation, it's just gibberish, then it's kind of hard for the listener to continue to listen. So having some type of structure where people can relate to it, like I remember this part, they were talking about this. I think that's a big thing that I had to learn, because my first episode, I was just yapping, just talking, just to talk. And when I listen back to it, I'm like, wow, I'm really saying nothing. Like honestly, my 1-2 punch was at the beginning, and then everything after that, I was just saying the same thing over and over, just in a different way. So kind of having like I have a notebook every day that before I do the episode, I sketch it out of what the topic is, to set the table, even whether it's questions or how I want to, segue into stuff. I have it written down. Now the content of what I'm saying is all off the top of the head, and that's how I feel. But there's still some type of structure or outline to move along the episode. So that's a big advice I would say, that just before you start, have it drafted out, have your script ready, in a sense of what you want to do, an outline, and then move forward. Then the second thing, is the second biggest thing, and I think everyone could agree, is just press record. Literally just press record and then upload it. That's it. It doesn't matter. You don't know if it's good content until someone tells you it's good content or bad content. Because if you're going to sit there and continue to prejudge yourself, like, oh, I don't know, I'm not ready, then you're never going to be ready. Don't wait. This is just me. I don't wait for motivation. Just do it, and motivation will push you forward along. Just do it. If you don't do it and you sit and wait for motivation, sometimes that could be forever, or sometimes it never happened. So just do it. Just press record, just drop it, and then you just listen to it, see how it sounds. If it sounds horrible, at least you know what to work on. You won't know what to work on if you don't do it.
I better listen to Tony, man. Y'all better listen to Tony first. Listen to what I said after. But Tony,
I think they should listen to both of us. I think both of you, you provided a lot of good nuggets, man. A lot of stuff that I'm still trying to, I'm writing down and stuff like that. But I think everyone should listen to everybody on this podcast should just listen. Everyone listeners wise should just listen to everybody on this podcast to know, because these are things that we learn through mistakes. It's not like, oh, we're the end all of all, be all, know everything. Right. No, I learned these through multiple mistakes and multiple feedback and a lot of criticism. But with that, you learn how to comb through a lot of those things and be better, versus fall into that, that pit of, wow, people say it suck, I don't want to do it no more. Because then I just succumbed to their, opinions.
Right.
Right. Yeah, that's where your podcast brings value. Like the more you learn, the more you grow, the more you're able to make your podcast better. That's where the true value in your podcast is at. Like it's just like any other field. Like when people pay someone for a service, they're paying for that person's experience, the time they put in, the years they took, the mistakes they made and everything. They're not just paying for their service. So when someone is like they think someone's expensive, but it's really not the case. But I also want to tap into when Tony, you said about having a script. Yeah, because like I type everything on my note. I type everything on my notepad. I know you asked me if I had any questions. I'm like, I got you in about 20 minutes, and then I just typed up a bunch of questions. But I feel like I'm kind of used to it now. So like I kind of have an idea of what I want to ask, how I'm gonna ask it. I feel like I ask like I have a set structure of questions, and I already know when I do the podcast, it'll be like side notes and like side conversations between as it flows. So it's just having a set structure, like you said.
Yeah, and I always do that. Like I always send the people my questions. Like I send the questions that I'm going to ask, so they kind of have an idea of what's going to be thrown at them, and stuff like that. And then, like I said, the sidebar conversation, they happen. And that makes the things more great, because they're not. It's fluid, but at least you want to know where the direction is moving. And, I also give the guests the opportunity to maybe not want to share certain things that they feel like it's
Facts.
hold to them. Because when you're thrown on the spot, sometimes you blurt out the wrong thing and then you regret the whole thing. So
Talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's exactly what I was about to say. I like to send a script because some people are not comfortable with talking about certain things. So I could just take that part out and just let it flow from there.
Right. Yeah. And I think we're really homing in on the structure, but because we all realize the value of having a structure, right? You have your intro, your body, the rest of the episode, and then you have your ending. I think it is very vital to have, just generally speaking, so you stay on course. Like everybody said, the side conversation is bound to happen, and you want it to happen. But having that structure, and then also, I do the same thing. I send the questions to the guests so they can now answer what they'd like to, and I'm not catching them off guard because when you catch somebody off guard, you may get a response you're not expecting or a response you don't want to hear, and now you got to edit it out. Oh, which part was that? That was 30 minutes in. And editing is already a doozy. So I just really think the structure is really key. And I'm glad that T touched on it because it is vital, man. And then again, if you don't have any structure, you're kind of just going in so many different directions, just blabbing. You don't want to just blab because people don't want to just hear you blab. Truly.
I know you're right about the editing part too. Like that's another like the thing that people don't understand. Like when people say things that they don't want to say, now you have to edit it instead of like making your editing easier to kind of just cut out. Like I could cut out small empty air spaces and small, like down to the breath size. But if I have to cut out a whole thing, but I feel like some of the things you said is very like pivotal, and there's some things that you said that you don't want in there. Now I have to kind of like remix it and cut and slice it where it still sounds originally what you're saying, but just taking out a lot of the context that might be very detrimental to your life and to the public.
Yeah, definitely like extra work. It's like someone showing up to a photo shoot not looking good is extra Photoshop work for me, but it is what it is. But so we talked about body structure intro. So will you guys have any book recommendations or app? Matter of fact, let's do book recommendations first and then app recommendations.
Yes. So there's 1,000,001 books, 1,000,000+1 books. Where I would start with is, I would. So my mind is going in so many different ways because I want to answer with so many different books. But to start out, what I would say my second Bible per se would be The Magic of Thinking Big, right? That book helped me understand how to think more positive, how to think outside of the box more, and eliminate something that's called excusitis, right? And also, generally what we're all doing here, right? You know, podcasting can be a fear for a lot of people because you're speaking, yes, to yourself, but you're putting it out there for the public. So what that book also taught me was action cures fear. And I love it. So that's always my mantra: action cures fear. If you got that fear, do it. Um, Also, what I would recommend is another book called Personality Plus, which goes through, your or just the general population of the world and understanding that yes, it feels like there's a million and one personalities, but it's truly it kind of comes down to four. I don't want to get too much into it, but really quick, it's a choleric, it's a sanguine, it's a melancholy, and then it's a I'm blanking on it, phlegmatic. And those are all just different personalities, and understanding your personality. So that way, when you understand yourself, that's again even better for you, but then you can understand other people and how to relate to them and how to communicate with them. Because you can't talk to, for instance, you can't talk to your mom the same way you talk to your homies on the street. Ridiculous. But you can't talk to all your homies the same way either, right? Everybody has a different avenue or approach, and knowing how to connect to them is amazing. It makes you a great connector, and people actually like you more because you know how to connect with them. The third one I would recommend is How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's just talking about personalities as well, but really truly how to break down and understand each dynamic personality and how to connect with them. So I have a bunch more, but I want to turn it over to you guys and hear the book recommendations y'all have.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, those are actually some good books. I was just writing it down, so that's why it sounds like I'm super quiet. Because I'm writing these down and just trying to see like, well, give them a read. Because I actually read a lot of self help books and a lot of stuff just to kind of educate, just to be better. And those books kind of help me out a lot. Two books that I have in mind. The first one, I think it's an amazing book. It's by James Clear. It's called Atomic Habit. You've probably seen it a million times, right? Book is amazing because there's one piece in there that it's very very pivotal for me, and I think it should be pivotal for a lot of people, is the goals versus system dichotomy. So if you look at it, just to give a small synopsis of why that part is so important for, I guess, for all aspects and all humans, is why when you have a goal, once you achieve that goal, you kind of just don't care about it no more. Like you achieved it. Like if I want to lose 15 pounds, I already just lost 15 pounds. I'm good to go. I'm not going to work out anymore as much. I'm not going to eat as healthy because I already lost my 15. Vice is having the system, which is the day-to-day thing that you work on, the habits that you fix every day. I'm going to eat fruits. I'm going to eat this every single day. And you will eventually get to that goal and then continue to surpass that goal. But you still have that foundational habits because that's the system you created. So I'm not worried about losing 15 pounds. I'm just going to try to live a healthier lifestyle. And eventually I will lose the 15 pounds along the way. That's why that book is so powerful. And I think everyone should kind of just give that book a look and see the breakdown of what James is talking about, because it's really powerful. Yeah, and that system could apply to anything. How you wake up your day, how you move, how we do our podcasts. As long as you have a full set system and the way you want your podcast to be done, you can do 1 million episodes and not even realize it. Vice is aiming for just 1 million episodes, and then when you hit it, it's kind of like, I'm gonna slow down a little bit. Then you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And then the next book I recommend is by Mark Manson. It's The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. Great book. It kind of breaks down. I think a lot of people seen the book, and it's an orange book, black letters. It's a great book because he kind of breaks down of just not caring about a lot of the things that people look for, a lot of the approaches that people deem is correct and deem is right, and kind of just saying fuck it and doing it what's best for you, how it works for you, and how it can help you be better. And there's a lot of key things in there that kind of helps you work through these steps. He has a lot of steps in there that it kind of helps you a lot just to get over it. I don't want to spoil the book for people because it's actually a really great book that I think everyone should take a second to just read a little bit of it and just to see. And it's okay to say, fuck positivity and stuff like that, but also there's a reason why, because sometimes being positive all the time doesn't get the results. You kind of just have to look at things in a different light to see both angles. And then you can come up with your full scope of an opinion of something. So I just think those two books are great. Just want to put that out there for you guys.
For sure.
Got it.
Yeah. Let me see. Do I have any book recommendations? I never give anybody a book recommendation. I just get the book recommendations. I never really give them. But I would say The Laws of Human Nature by Robert Greene. That's a good one. It just teaches you. It's kind of like the book that kind of like the book that Kemar recommended with the different personalities, but like it teaches you like why people do certain things, and like it's like a psychological thing. So that's a good book to look into.
All his books are amazing.
Oh yeah, power the laws of
Agree.
48 Laws of Power, Art of
Oh.
Seduction. Yeah, he has a plethora of books. But now on to the apps. Do you have any apps recommendations?
Apps.
Or programs? Matter of fact, because Kemar, you recommended Crisp.
Oh,
that was a good one for podcasters. Can you explain that one more?
Yes. So there's an app called Crisp, KRISP, which is good to help eliminate background noise for yourself and also for your guests. I think it's pretty cool that the app or the program for the computer or the PC does that. So that's a nice little plug. They give you about 60 minutes for free that you can use daily. However, if you put in a quote unquote business email, they'll give you 90 minutes. So take advantage of that plug. Additionally, I use to record my episodes, I use a website called Zencaster. I like it because It records in high quality, and you can have on up to, I believe, it's 12 guests at once. But then again, I personally think it's overload having that many guests on. Um, having them on, and it records crisp and clear, and it also gives you the audio only file, and it can give you the MOV file, the video file if you want as well. Um, they try to sell you on, so I'm big on eliminating watermarks. So if you was to take the video of, let's say you record video, you and the guest, if you download the video of you guys together, they put the watermark. But if you download each individual video and take it into a video editor like Premiere Pro or Final Cut, you put the two videos together, boom, easy plug. Yeah, so that would be, I guess, a program recommendation. App wise, I don't really have an app wise. I'm trying to think of it.
No, that's cool. That's cool.
I think for me, and I love Zencaster. I used to use Zencaster until I kind of just like Zoom was just the easier thing for the general mass when it comes to
True.
people that aren't podcasters. But I use Zencaster when it's like me and an actual other podcaster. But for me, I think the two apps that I would recommend is, the first one is the platform to use it for. I mentioned it earlier. Anchor. Anchor is a great app to use to post all your podcasts, start your channel, start everything on Anchor, and you could cut, splice everything on there. You could record directly on there and publish your episode. You can make a logo on there. But if you feel like you want to make a better logo, the second app I would go to, and also website, is Canva. I think Canva is the household name for a lot of things. And
How did I forget Canva?
Canva's really big to make logos. All my logos are made on there. All my videos are made from there. You start getting good at how to edit those stuff from Canva once you use it enough. And the last one I'll throw in there is also Headliner. I use Headliner. I know Joe uses it too. I use Headliner when I do my audio episodes where I don't have video, and I just want you to see the words and stuff, the content and stuff like that. That's what I use to get the whole audiogram and so stuff like that. So those are the three that I would say: Anchor, Headliner, and Canva. Those are the three that you'll need to kind of just start and get it going.
So you mean to tell me? So you mean to tell me both of y'all knew about Zencaster and then tell me about it? We could have did that on Zencaster. That's crazy. How am I ask for something I don't know?
True.
But anyways, I need tips on how to close. So before we close, I would like you guys to tell people how to find you guys.
All right, really easy. So thank you again, Joe, for having us come on. Thank you for having me come on. I truly appreciate it. So we can be found on all social media platforms. Well, let me see. We can be found on Instagram at itsrelational.co. So it's relational _co. And on YouTube, if you search It's Relational, the podcast, you should find us on YouTube. Same thing with Facebook. And we're readily available and all the way out there. But again, big shout outs to Joe for, just having us come on to do this, because I appreciate it. And yeah, take it from there. Go ahead, T.
For sure.
I would like to 100% thank Joe for putting us on this platform and stuff like that. I know, especially me, you've been trying to work for this and making it happen for a little while now, but I'm glad that I'm on this, and I'm glad that you gave us the opportunity to speak on this, especially me and Kemar, and just to, kind of just drop our voices to your audience and stuff like that about our experiences and stuff. Where you could find me is at my Instagram handles at TonyFizzle, TonyFizzle, or the Generational Dad podcast. It spells just the way it sounds, the Generational Dad. And then the other one is Keeping It All the Way. Sounds exactly how it's said. And those are the three ways that you can reach out to me and stuff like that. But thank you, Joe, again for this.
No, thank you guys, because like I always say,
Yes,
time is money. So like I got less than a minute left on this recording, but tell me guys how you close your podcast.
So the way how we close our podcast, we just say, thank everybody for listening. To all those out there, have a great day, a great evening, and a great night. And wherever you are in the world, stay blessed and be well.
Okay.
Yeah, for me, I think thank everyone for tuning in. Hopefully I gave everybody good content to listen to. And if you want to hear more, subscribe to the channel. And I'm out. And it cuts right there.
Well, that's all the time I got. So I'm gonna do my outro after I end this, and thank you guys again for being here. Greatly appreciate you guys.
Most definitely, brother.
Absolutely, absolutely.
For sure. For those listening, I just want to thank you for still listening. Time is money, and I've taken up a great deal of your time with this episode because we had a lot to talk about. But I hope you learned something. I hope you have something you gain something from it, and like, subscribe, comment, let me know what you think, and enjoy these tunes by my boy B Dot. Till next time, peace.
One time for Trey Kane. Rest in peace, my G. We love you. When they gon' learn? When they gon' learn? When they gon' learn? When you gon' learn? When you gon' learn? Every penny ain't worth getting burned just like an urn. Gotta keep your mouth closed, don't tell a soul just what you earn. Or soon enough you gon' see that was all fake concern. They take turns, let's get it straight just like a perm. I'm tired of seeing my young brothers funding law firms. Fund your ass to Greek, get your ass a GED. Get your ass up out the streets before your ass RIP. And your mama in them pockets getting costly. It ain't cheap, but you wanna be OG. You gotta lay 6 feet instead of stand 10 toes. How stupid can't you be? This cycle on repeat, it's all washed up if you ask me. I think the baddest women keep it classy. Only your partner should know if you're nasty, but that's me. We ain't the same apparently. Opinions ain't concerning me. I'm myself all eternity. When they gon' learn? 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 With all these lanes up in the industry, it's kinda hard being BDOT, but got my powerhouse with me, that's my fucking family, and we gon' ride to the E&D. May I kick a little something for my C's and still show love to my B's, cause we was hitting licks back in 06 for the freshest kicks, we ain't shit. When they gon' learn? 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 When they gon' learn?